Hi everyone, and welcome to the talk on Bent TV. I'm Matthew, and here at the talk we like to kind of give young LGBTI people, or have the talk with young LGBTI people, the talk that they wouldn't regularly get from, I guess, their parents, that a lot of straight people do get about the birds and the bees. You know, when people are coming to terms with their identity, I guess there are a lot of things they don't get. There are a lot of outlets that are missing for them to actually engage or explore these kind of things. So, yeah, we're going to talk about that. Here today I'm joined by Jasmine, Michael, and Chrissy. Thanks for coming in, guys.
Thanks for having me here.
Thank you. And today we're looking at the issue of racism in the queer community, but specifically sexualized racism. So, you know, if you look on online apps, I mean, even in real life, you know, there's still a lot of racism in our community, and I guess we're interested in exploring that. So to begin with, I guess, I was curious to hear from the panel, you know, if you have experienced or you're aware of what it is like. Particularly, let's start with Michael. Is there racism in the gay community?
No, yes, obviously. Of course, there's racism in the gay community, specifically sexualized racism, I think is really prevalent. Because this idea that we think of our sexuality as something biological that we can't choose, and therefore if a white person, for instance, I think says that they're, you know, on their Grindr profile, like no Asians or no black people or something, they think, well, that's biological, it's not my fault. And then their racism goes completely unquestioned. And so I think it's really important for white people in particular, but I think all people as well, to really question the ideas that they've internalized about race, specifically when it comes to sexual attraction, because
I think that's how they defend it a lot of the time as well, because if someone gets called out on something they've written on an online profile, they'll just say, oh, it's just a preference, but the way they even express it to begin with can be really problematic and quite offensive to a lot of people in the community. But now, I mean, Jasmine and Chrissy, from a queer women's perspective, I guess, does it manifest in the same ways? Is there racism in that community as well, or sexualized racism in particular?
Well, I'm thinking about the app Her, which is for queer women, and I know from flicking through it that I've never seen anything that's like what you guys have, which can be some really awful things like no curries, or I don't know if I'm using the right terms, no rice,
Asians. Yeah, people are
rice queen or something like that. I've never seen that before.
Neither.
Yeah. So I'm
sure it happens, but I've never experienced it, never heard of any women experiencing the same, to the same degree that gay men experience it on apps like Grindr or whatever.
Why do you think that might be? I mean, that's an interesting point as well, because I know, flicking through any app, you'll see, undoubtedly, there'll be people that will write really pretty horrible things.
It's really overt as well. Like in everyday life, like a lot of white people are like really, you know, covert with their racism. Like they don't like to be, you know, the idea of being called a racist is like the worst possible thing that could happen. So like, but on apps, they'll just like so explicitly say like no Asians or something, or even like no spice, no, you know, like these really offensive racist terms, completely like unquestioningly, and just.
It's easy to do online as well when you're behind a keyboard, but why do you think it's so prevalent? Why do you think it's more prevalent
amongst males?
Amongst gay men?
Do you think it's like because it's more of a sexualized, like it's more like overtly sexual, where perhaps, on certain apps, like on Tinder, for instance, even if you're like gay male Tinder, there's no, my experience is you don't see as overt kind of sexualized racism on Tinder because it's more of a dating app, where with Grindr or Scruff or, you know, whatever those apps where it's like it's a lot more, I guess, sexual, or like hookups is a lot more common or expected, then the racism is like, I guess, more prevalent.
That's true. I mean, the interesting thing I'm thinking about, because I mean, like, obviously when you look through an app, it's obvious, like, I identify that clearly as racism when someone writes something like that. However, I imagine in the community, women and men alike, there would be people that would have perhaps sexual preferences and stuff like that. I wonder, like, where do we draw the line, or how do you perceive that? So if someone has a particular preference in the bedroom for someone of a particular cultural background, I mean, is that sexual racism in any form, or how is it distinguished? Like, I mean, obviously that overt racism is clear, but I think where it becomes a bit more grey is when someone says, oh, I actually prefer to date, you know, Asian guys, or I prefer, I mean, whatever. But I mean, how do you guys see that in the community?
I think you definitely have to be asking why, like what's your reason for wanting to date certain races? And it sounds kind of like on the apps with guys that, has anyone say no white people?
No, I've never seen that in my life.
Okay. So it sounds like it's that whole ideal of like the white being the
hierarchy.
Yeah. Okay.
And I also imagine, you know, when you said about the reasons why, you know, if someone says, you know, rather than they only want white people, they're only looking for, let's say, they're interested in Asian men, or Indian men or whatever, if the reason behind it is also kind of fetishizing, I think that can also play into racism a lot as well, because
Definitely.
that naturally the reasons behind it is very rooted in stereotypes and cliches and putting someone in a box that they're obviously not in.
But even like racist stereotypes, like harmful stereotypes as
exactly.
well. Like even, you know, the idea like black men have bigger penises or something.
Hypersexual,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's like it's a really negative stereotype, even though it's like supposedly a compliment. It's like not at all.
Yeah.
You
At
know?
the risk of a shameless plug, I wrote an article on racism in the gay community earlier this year, and the people I spoke to said that, like, they were saying, like, on a weekly basis, one guy in particular was saying, like, he always gets hit up with messages saying, oh, is it true what I've heard about this? And, you know, do you hear this? And it's one of those things where people that say this, I mean, they mustn't even question, I mean, like, there's no self-awareness. You know, if you say something like that to someone, they're not even thinking how that might affect the other person or what the connotations or background around that is. I mean, do you think it's just because people that are kind of perpetuating these kind of racist stereotypes and saying these things online, you know, they're just not aware about their actions? Or do you think it's just, I mean, do you think they are? I don't know, aware
I
of
think
it?
it kind of comes back to what Michael was saying, how people just think, that's my preference, like I can't help it, I'm not responsible, like this is just what I'm attracted to, but they're not digging further than that and wondering where are these, what's this rooted in, what's this based on?
Well, I think it's exactly like what you said. The important question is, if you do have racial sexual preferences, is to ask yourself why. Like, why is it that you are not attracted to this race or attracted to this race? As if an entire race of people look the exact same.
Yeah,
you know?
exactly.
But it's like, obviously asking why is really important, and that's where you can really get to the root of like these harmful ideas that you have. But for some people, that's really hard. It's really hard to kind of ask yourself, why do I feel this? Especially for queer people about their sexuality, because we've been told as a survival, you know, mechanism is to not question your sexuality at all. Like, my sexuality, I'm here, I'm queer. Like, I was born this way, I'm not changing at all. And so for us to then question that goes against everything that we've been taught as like a survival mechanism.
And people have obviously looked at the sexuality of gay people as very negative for a long time. So when you feel confident in the way you express your sexuality, I mean, to then have to question it again and wonder, I mean, that may play into it, I guess.
Totally.
Unfortunately, that's all the time we have today. But thank you so much for joining me again, guys.
Thank you.
And thank you so much for joining us here at The Talk on Bent TV. We'll see you next time.
Hi there, I'm Lisa-Skye, and welcome to Prove Me Wrong, the segment in which I endeavour to strengthen my opinions by either changing them or defending them viciously against my opponents. My opponents today are the wonderful, the salty Marcus. Marcus, hello.
Hello.
Ready to prove me wrong?
Yeah.
Let's do it. And to my, did I say left before?
I'm on your left.
To my left, I have Jess McCurley. Jess,
Hey.
welcome.
Thanks.
Ready?
Yeah.
All right, what are we talking
Great.
about?
All right. Jess and I have discussed this for a couple of months now, and shampoo is a scam.
Essential, what?
Yeah.
It is completely unnecessary.
I wouldn't say completely. I'd say like I'm half on this.
So you're taking the moderate view?
Correct.
Yeah, everything in moderation.
Except for shampoo, which one should do
No.
one every 2 to 3 days, I think.
I think that is
You can take
extremely...
longer. Like if you're a fellow short-haired person, so shampoo makes product. Like if you wash the product out, then you can't use it again.
I don't wear product.
Yeah, but
I can't afford it.
hairspray, cheap hairspray, is all I use. Like the $1 home brand
but
hairspray.
I'm not going to use hairspray. I'm going to use a powdered mousse.
Mousse is too heavy for my hair.
Yeah, no, not
You
the
have
powdered
similar
one.
hair to me now.
Yeah, I've got fine,
Really
thin,
fine,
shitty
slippery hair.
Yeah.
So you have to tease the out of it.
And once you get all
Powdered
this
mousse.
trash in your hair, right?
Yeah.
You're spending money, paying money for products. Don't then buy shampoo. It's a complete scam. Use a soap or water.
Shampoo
Soap.
undoes all the
Just
work.
use-
that you
So,
do.
Just use a
like
hand
a
soap.
farmer.
You
Go-
can actually do that. I went to school with someone, all right, Simon. Yeah, I went to school with a boy who was like, I'm not going to wash my hair for a month.
Great idea. Very highly
Teenagers.
recommend
And he
that.
did it.
Yeah.
He did it to win a bet, and he did wash his hair with soap. And it did make a
Yeah.
difference.
No, that's what you do. You go down to
But
like
it's not
a...
harsh.
Right.
It strips the hair
Yeah,
of its
it's not
natural
great for the hair.
oils. And my hair is coloured. I need basically like the version of an angel cow, like a cow who died and is now an angel,
Yeah.
licking my hair and
all the more
nuzzling
reason
it.
that you shouldn't be washing your hair if it's coloured. When I have coloured hair, I don't wash it.
But it gets greasy.
Great idea.
Real greasy.
Yeah, that's when you use the hairspray or dry shampoo.
Oh, I knit one purl one. I do a shampoo every second day and a dry shampoo.
Yeah.
Betwixt.
Because hairspray dries your hair out,
Yeah, but
which
I don't-
will absorb a lot of the oils.
Why is hairspray? Because it doesn't match with the thing.
Can
Or
I
does
touch
it?
it?
Yeah, go on.
Oh wow, that is actually incredibly
Good
soft.
consent
That's
there.
beautiful.
Welcome.
Asking
Surprisingly
consent
soft.
before touching someone's hair is a very important thing.
People tend to want to touch my hair because it's a different colour. I think
Yeah.
they think it feels like grass or something else green.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
touched it.
A traffic light.
I was expecting that a little bit, yeah.
Yeah, we have the same hair.
Yeah.
The reason when I started hating shampoo was
Yeah.
when I was looking at a bottle and it had a use by date on it. And I was like, you
What?
cannot tell me when I have to finish this by. I've already been coaxed into buying it, and now I'm meant to like throw out half a bottle because
Was it a
expired.
used by or a best before?
Or a packaged on.
Great questions, and
You
it
just
was.
saw a date and you're like, oh hell no.
I saw a date. It was just numbers. It might have been a barcode, and I just threw it out.
Look, that's fair.
Yeah, and you know what? They had their chance. I would happily buy a shampoo, and then they just got greedy. I'm like, no, done.
Table flip in the shower.
You
Yeah.
know what I like the bars of shampoo.
What?
They're from Lush.
Oh, okay.
And it's because of
too old to
traveling.
go into
Because
Lush.
no, because traveling you can't take liquids. So I got
Yeah.
into the habit of using solid perfumes and solid shampoo
And you nuzzle
solid
up against
conditioner.
it.
A little
Like a
travel
salt lick.
tip: when you are traveling, you can't take liquids. Go to the airport and get some soap from the public restroom there. Wash your hair with that. It's perfect.
Ugh.
Yeah, it does the job.
No.
It's not going to be as soft, Lisa,
Yeah,
but
exactly.
it
You
will.
need to treat your hair well.
Right.
Because one day it'll be gone.
So
Greek women
that's
lose
why
their hair,
not
so I'm
washing
going
it.
to be bald.
Don't wash
and
it so often.
I've been managing
How
my
often
partner's
do you dye your hair?
expectations. I peroxide it maybe 3 times a year, but then
Oh,
I
is
just
that all?
pop the colour. Yeah, and then I pop the colour in every fortnight to 3 weeks,
Oh, that's too much.
depending on the. Just the colour. It's just paint.
But it's bad for your hair.
Nah, it's good.
If you wash your hair less, you'd have to colour it less.
Look, okay, my hair gets greasy, real greasy,
Great.
right? And
Dry
I can't
shampoo.
afford product, and my shampoo smells delicious, and it's nice to have
shampoo
a hair
is a
dryer on my
product.
face.
You are buying shampoo.
But it's nice.
The money you'd save on shampoo, you could spend on
It
hairspray.
feels like a
or-
grease helmet. It feels like your hair. I mean, it looks amazing. Does it not feel like a greasy helmet?
Oh,
a
yeah.
greased helmet?
Yeah, run a comb through that. Put some water through it. It'll be fine.
May I touch the back of it?
Yeah, please get involved. Yeah.
Look, that feels.
That hasn't.
May I
that
smell
has-
it?
Yeah, please. No shampoo involved.
That smells fine. It smells good.
Yeah. This is what we're saying, Lisa.
Hmm.
You can be me. You could have this smell.
No, you've got lovely thick hair.
Yeah, thick
you're,
and curly.
You're like a proper Mediterranean. My dad can't grow a full beard and he's 64. He's
Aw.
got 3 chest hairs. He's the worst Greek.
Well, we all try.
No, okay. So, all right. No. Okay. So you're suggesting ditch the like shampoo once
Just
every,
less. Don't ditch it altogether.
but chuck some product in.
Wash it once a week.
I'm so sorry for all the really angry hairdressers who have extremely
they're
educated
talking
and
about.
strong opinions about this. At the Lisa-Skye for more on Twitter or Instagram. And so you say no shampoo at all.
Yeah, I'm
and
saying-
just soap and wash public toilet soap.
Shampoo is
Yeah,
soap.
public
It's
toilet
just got different stuff in
soap.
it.
Yeah.
Shampoo is soap.
Oh, wow. Perfect. Marketing scam. It's the same thing. It's like, I don't know. There's just too many things for sale, and
Yeah.
they're trying to trick us and try to make us buy more things.
So just buy the one shampoo.
You don't even need shampoo. Can't you use like baking soda,
Oh, bicarb soda.
bicarb soda?
Right.
And yeah, and like vinegar apparently.
Yeah.
Yeah, get a bucket
And
of
lemon
dirt
juice?
and
My
honey
hair
and
is
lemon
not
juice.
a salad.
I'm pretty sure that you can just do that instead of buying shampoo.
Soy
I read a
sauce.
blog about it
Soy
sometime.
Yeah, mix it up. It's a little condiment. Most condiments do clean hair, I believe.
Now,
Mustard?
what's it? Just the seeded, exfoliating scalp. Marcus.
Yo.
You had an experience on public transport. What was that?
Right. Lady was combing her hair. Beautiful, long, gorgeous brown curly hair. Combing it for ages. And it was just quite hypnotic and beautiful to look at this hair. And I was thinking, is there shampoo in that or not?
Yeah, like a pony.
Yeah, it was really quite a beautiful moment. And then she looks at the brush and I'm like, great. People look at brushes all the time.
Yeah,
There's
I've looked at a brush.
Yeah, haven't we all?
I don't own a
We're all
brush,
guilty
so-
of looking at brushes, but you've seen one, right? And then she pulls out her clunk of hair, and
Clunk of hair.
it was a ball. It was disgusting.
no,
And I thought, no, you couldn't. You couldn't
no.
be this much of a
On the tram.
Jess is on the tram. There is a ball of hair on the 96. Yarra trams clean your trams.
Okay, well, look, we haven't solved the problem of to poo or not to poo, but we can
I think
all
we
agree.
have. I think we've all agreed that we should use less poo.
We can all agree that that's the worst thing anyone has ever done. So this has been Prove Me Wrong. Marcus, Jess, thank you for almost proving me wrong.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Good evening, welcome to Ben TV. My name is Steve Pereira. You're watching Quedia, the show about art, culture and media, where we cover everything. Tonight we're talking to Bill Calder, publishing icon from Melbourne. Bill was a publisher of Brothers Sister in the 90s and more recently B News. Bill has recently penned this fascinating book, Pink Ink. I keep getting the cover wrong. Pink Ink, which is a history of gay publications in Melbourne. Welcome to Ben TV, Bill.
Pleased to be here, Steve.
Now, we were talking about a range of things, but lifestyle magazines, which is the most recent progression, or prior to the internet, the most recent progression of publications.
It was a big change, yeah. There'd been, as we in earlier programs talked about, the liberationists and the nude type magazines. These lifestyle magazines were very much connected with the developing bar scene that started in the 70s. I mean, it did start prior, but it wasn't known as a gay bar. But
So this is fascinating because it actually matches the progression of the gay movement from liberationists to establishment, now to lifestyle. We're here, we're queer.
Yep,
Let's
very
get
much
used to
so,
it.
very much. And look, Rod Stringer started the first one in Sydney. He ran a couple of bars up in Sydney. He started Campaign still in the mid-70s, and it went right through to the end of the millennium. But others were again, the Oxford Street was developing. This was within Australia the major bar scene initially. So again, a lot of these magazines started in Sydney. Sydney Star was purely started to promote this bar scene, and it evolved and became Sydney Star Observer, that's still going today. In Melbourne, we had one of the liberationist magazines, Gay Community News, decided it would switch its viewpoint entirely, and it morphed into Outrage, which was the first of these lifestyle magazines.
But even in the titles,
Melbourne.
you get a more sense of a more political, like to go from Outrage, from what was it before?
Gay Community
Gay
News.
Community News. That's quite a shift in branding.
Yeah, it is. I mean, it's still showing the echoes of activism and liberation, but in a more catchy tune. It's marketing itself, where it's a bit ponderous. Gay Community News. It's saying what it wants to be. So there's a much sharper idea about marketing going on too in some of these publications.
But the use of the word outrage there, is it about political outrage about the state of the gay and lesbian movement, or was it outrage in terms of you can be outrageous?
Both. It was clearly trying to play both sides of the coin there. So it was still maintaining a political focus, but you're out and you're raging.
Is there a sense from your research in this time that there was that same schism between the conservative movement and a more radical lefty movement?
Look, in the 70s there was, but to be honest, a lot of the radicals switched their focus from wanting to completely change society. They did switch to the idea of let's build and defend a community. And that meant including the bars, which originally a lot of the liberationists didn't like the bars, but there was a switch in mind going on
Why didn't the
there.
liberationists like the bars? Because I would think that
I mean, look, a lot of them were run by mafia in the early days, and they charged twice the price for drinks, and you know, the liberationists wanted everyone to be spiritually free and and happy and not sort of hanging around in a dark corner drinking and being miserable as they saw the
But
scene
by this
at the
point,
time.
the bars were very much part of the community. They were run by people from the community.
Well, it changed.
It changed.
I mean, the first sort of gay meeting places were sort of a back corner of a straight bar, very sort of creep into that area type places, and then the first sort of ones that identified as gay bars were run by the equivalent of the underworld of Sydney, and purely for money. But increasingly people, as I say, like Rod Stringer, started bars. Gay men and gay women started gay bars because they wanted to help the community and support the community. And this was a very different type of bar. This is more the bar we're familiar with today, that was a more positive, open, gay friendly. I mean, some of those gay bars weren't even very gay friendly back in the 60s and 70s. So there was a huge change going on in the bars, and the media reflected this.
And what was happening with the women's movement, with the lesbians at this point?
Yep, again, the bar scene was predominantly a male scene, but there were some lesbian bars in all the cities around the country. But
was this reflected in the publication?
Well, it was not until 1990 that Francine Rand started Lesbians on the Loose, which is still going today. And she started it purely because she wanted to be able to publicise where new bars were, because they often open and shut at this stage, and where other social events were that lesbians could go to. She felt it wasn't being covered very well by the more serious lesbian press or the primarily gay male press.
And you think Lesbians on the Loose is still in circulation?
Still going, and it circulates nationally. It is a Sydney-based publication, but still being published today.
Are there any of these original magazines still out and about? Or?
Well, Sydney Star Observer is still here. And look, you can follow it in Melbourne. Melbourne Voice was the very first newspaper in Melbourne in 1984. It only lasted a year, but kind of got taken over by different people who relaunched it as Melbourne Star Observer, that ran through until the satellite collapse that we haven't been able to mention. But today we have MCV, Melbourne Community Voice, that's kind of a continuum of that.
You've subtitled Pink Ink the Golden Era for Gay and Lesbian magazines, which suggests that the golden era's been and gone.
Yes, it has, unfortunately, for magazines. It's the internet has replaced much of the function of those magazines. Sydney Star Observer used to come out weekly, printing over 30,000 copies. Today it comes out monthly, printing about 10,000. I mean, there's still a huge consumer of gay media, but it's online now. It's still a golden era for Gay and Lesbian, but not magazines, unfortunately.
No, this seems to be very much part of an era that's gone, like the Queen and her red nose.
Yes.
But there's so much more to talk about. Thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you, Steve.
You've been with Steve Pereira on Quedia on Ben TV. We've been talking to Bill Calder about gay publications in Australia. Unfortunately, a historical discussion because things have now changed. Thank you so much for being with us on Ben TV.